Hello, Chris. Welcome back.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
We're going to start off this. Hello, Khan. We're going to start off this week by speaking about probably the most talked about subject this weekend, and that was the offside given against Ruben Diaz. I think it was for Liverpool.
Yeah.
They've obviously released a VAR talking about it, so we can hear what was said. What do you think about what we've just listened to be quite honest?
Well, the obvious is that when you've got human beings involved, there's always going to be human error. You can have a system with computers and lines being drawn, but all the time human beings are operating it, you're going to have this. But before I'd listened to the recently released recording of the communication, I was firmly of the belief that the officials, all three, four of them, weren't even concentrating on it, and they weren't. Makes you wonder what goes on in the VAR hub, whether they're actually really paying attention, or whether they're, three mates sitting around going, "Oh yeah, no, this is easy." And
it was pretty manic, wasn't it? Like what we just listened
to.
You got so many different voices chiming in on one decision.
Yeah,
if you're trying to make a decision, if that was me watching back that playback, I would want to be directing where I wanted the line, what camera angles I want, so I can make a clear decision, and then I can communicate that to the pitch. But you've got so many voices.
I agree. I thought the communication was quite detailed, which sort of counteracts my theory that they weren't sort of giving it their full attention, that they were clowning around. I don't think they were, because they were very, very quick to sort of say what they wanted, but obviously the error came at the very, very beginning, where the VAR are under the impression it's a goal given, not a goal disallowed.
Yeah.
So the whole process after the very, very initial on-field decision is irrelevant, because they're talking about different things.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good example as well as to how we're relying on VAR too much now? Because for me, you go back a few years ago when that was VAR, I don't think the line was giving that, because it was clearly onside. It wasn't even close, was it? It wasn't like millimetres, that's what VAR's come in for, when it's millimetres. That wasn't millimetres.
Are you saying they put the flag up because they got the security of a check?
Yes. I think that happens all the time now. I think linesmen are scared to make their own decisions, and so are referees.
But they've got a fail-safe. I'll chuck the flag up, because if I'm wrong...
It'll be fine.
I think that's the problem now. They're becoming so reliant on it. I don't think, like I said before VAR, I think that goal just stands. It just stands, and rightly so, because it wasn't even close. But like you said, they are almost overcomplicated by checking it.
Yeah. On the other side of the coin, you go to the Championship, that game's in the Championship, the linesman's put his flag up, the goal doesn't stand.
Really? Oh, right, yeah.
Because
of course,
basically there would no be, I can't even speak tonight, there wouldn't be any lines drawn. They wouldn't have this situation. They wouldn't have, maybe they have a radio between the assistant referees, or linesmen as we like to call them, and the ref, and maybe the fourth official, but there isn't any debate. The guy on the field puts his flag up, that goal's offside.
Yeah.
Fans give you a bit of stick and move on.
Oh, the good old days.
They're still there for many of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I think you've got a great point for me that they do, and they put the flag up to get the security of that, to make sure that they're right or wrong. And
you can see the intention of it is when the referee wants to take something to VAR. If they can't make that split decision, then yes, take it to VAR, and that's what it's meant to be there for.
Yeah.
But like Josh said, it's just being kind of abused in a way.
It's a bit mind blowing
making
for
the decisions.
The detail they go into. I mean, you listen to the build up, and I've heard one of these before, where they're basically saying red, yellow, in terms of who's got the last touch. They're actually commentating themselves throughout the entire game, which suggests that they should really be concentrating on it.
Yeah.
And going back to what Khan said, the first thing I noticed was how many people are talking at the same time.
Yeah.
If that was me, it would be doing my head in. Maybe they should have one person in charge and looking at it, like you said, this is what I want to check.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking for. Yes, I'm happy to give the goal. Then they can go, are you, have two others, and the majority gets the vote.
Yeah.
If two of them say, yeah, I agree with that, it's so clear.
Agreed.
Yeah. But also, the way that VAR communicated that decision to the referee, I can't remember exact words he says, but it effectively was, that's fine. Wasn't it?
There was never anything. In rugby, for example, they get this thing. So on-field decision was this, and in cricket they do, I think, as well. Final decision, goal or no goal, offside, onside. There was none of that, was there? There was no, so our conclusion is
no goal.
Because
or
this is
goal.
this,
You know what I mean?
this is what I originally said before I'd even heard the audio. What I heard had happened was VAR were under the impression that he gave the goal. So then when they looked back at it, done all what they did, they went, yeah, that's fine, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thinking that he'd given the goal, but he hadn't.
Yeah.
So he's heard in his ear, yes, go ahead. So he's gone, offside.
Yeah, it's the wrong from the first blow of the whistle, wasn't it?
I feel sorry for Liverpool fans. I never thought I'd say that either. But
Well, we're back to this debate again, aren't we? Where we had one with Aston Villa last season, where the goal was clearly not given when it was over the line. Emi Martinez, I do believe.
yeah.
And we're into this thing now. Okay, I don't think it matters we're at the start of the season because we're talking now about points costing teams money.
I was thinking this when it happened actually at the weekend. That could cost Liverpool millions.
Well, it could in terms of where are they finishing the league, and forget winning the title. And that's not saying I don't think they will. I'm saying that your finishing place in the Premier League is worth so much money for just the extra place, or a European competition, for goodness sake. Imagine missing on a Champions League spot because of a VAR, and not just a controversial VAR, a VAR that the world knows has been got wrong.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that further down the line could lead to legal ramifications?
I do. Yeah.
Whereas, for example, a team like Liverpool, let's say they do lose out on millions because of their place in the league, and
well, Man City lost. Man City lost at the weekend.
Yeah.
So if Liverpool had won at the weekend, it changes the whole title race, doesn't
so
it?
they could
early
potentially, go and try and claim that back in some way at the end of the season if they are at
This
loss
is what I've
because of
mentioned on the podcast before. Do you think, I can't see it happening, but do you think there'll ever be a retrospective results? Could they say, actually, no, that game's 2-2 now?
Well, they do it to Olympic athletes. They strip them of medals, don't they?
I've always wished that was a thing.
It's too complicated to do
Imagine
in football.
tonight they come and said, Spurs, sorry, you won 2-1, but actually it's 2-2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They can reset the table now, but imagine.
Do you think that would ever happen?
I'd love it to be trialled because maybe Premier League's a bit different. It's 38 games, but I remember there's been multiple times in the Champions League with Chelsea where we've been robbed against Barcelona, years and years ago. We got absolutely robbed, and I said to myself, well, I didn't say it, but I said it to who I was with. I wish that they could look back and correct some of them decisions because then we would be going through that.
I think every team has arguments for that, though, don't they? And
so
Barcelona are getting punished now, aren't they? I don't know if you've seen, Chris, that they might even be chucked out of the Champions League because of this referee scandal.
They should be.
Yeah, and also we're back into the good old argument we've had on the podcast about the old FFP and the regulation. What's going to happen to Everton, Manchester City, and goodness knows all the others? You feel sorry for clubs in the Football League who have already been deducted again. Here I go, deducted points. And I think I'm trying to remember.
What's going on with Scunthorpe?
I was just going to try and remember the team who got another 10 points recently. Is it Southend or something like that? Another 10 points because they didn't pay an instalment,
Really?
and I don't think it is Southend. I might have to be checked, but they're ruthless
I
with
won't
points.
get VAR to check it.
No, they might get it wrong. They might end up with the wrong deduction. But they're ruthless. It seems to me in the EFL, but it's almost like they're too scared to do it at the higher levels.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know the situation with Scunthorpe, but if it was because they've missed a payment, Premier League teams aren't typically going to do that, are they, with the money they generate?
Something is going on at Scunthorpe. It might have nothing to do with what you're saying, Chris, but I've just seen it recently that they're in big trouble. Their owners have basically said there's no money there, you're not getting paid. Right. There's nothing there.
I think we're talking about the same story, but
I knew you wouldn't agree with this, Khan.
Well, where's the money gone then? If you ask Scunthorpe, where's the money gone?
Well, it's happened in April to Reading.
Right.
It's happened to
Bolton
Wigan
a couple of years ago.
Almost, it says here, over 30 points deducted from English clubs for financial rule breaches in the EFL.
Google what's going on with Scunthorpe.
Yeah. Reading got a new one now, 16th of June. No, that's not, no. So let's have a look. Scunthorpe, you're saying.
Something's going on with Scunthorpe. I'm not too sure what
Wasn't that what happened to Portsmouth years and years ago? Was it financial, the reason they...
Leeds United, 18 points,
Well, yeah.
minus 18 start. I can't do the chant because it will be banned from the podcast. But
Derby.
Because Portsmouth literally had to fold, didn't they? And then they had to start up again as a new club at the bottom.
Did they?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had to actually fold as a club.
Yeah, I think they actually folded. Yeah, they dissolved.
It's Southend they're talking about. The Scunthorpe's not come up. Southend have been deducted points. They owe 275 grand. They got 42 days to pay, but nothing's coming up for Scunthorpe.
Fact checking complete.
Yeah, I want to refer that one to. Have you got it now?
That's Scunthorpe.
Oh, okay.
I don't really know much.
So, an FA investigation with their owner. So there you've got ownership debates now transferring onto the field of play.
Moving out of their stadium.
Yeah. So he put 11 million quid's worth of loans into a club, and they're saying that there's something wrong with that, and now they're penalising the team.
Yeah, like you said, it just seems that lower leagues are punished so quickly as well. It's not like...
Well, I think it's become a laughing stock now at the Premier League. As we said, the FFP stuff with Man City, we're not even told the investigation's ongoing still. And I'm not out to bash Man City. I'm out to say that with Everton, with Man City, with others, these issues could have affected, if a points deduction had been put in place last season, Leeds fan relegated, yes, but could have affected relegation places. Nothing's been done historically. Nothing's being done currently as far as we know as the general public. What's to say anything's going to get done? And I think the further we go down the line with these things not being done, the more they just get forgotten about. And I think the authorities hope they get forgotten about.
I've only just thought of this. Do you think they are doing stuff about it, but they are also being very careful because if it backfires, they know Man City have got...
They don't want to get sued.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't.
It
They
could
didn't.
backfire if they get it wrong.
They didn't announce anything about City's investigation until they actually investigated it.
Yeah. But the longer you leave it, and this is why I don't think they can do much really that's going to affect the major. How complicated will it be to go back and through the whole? Because each result affects each stage, and you can't. Yeah, and you would. You'd need mathematicians from everywhere to be able to work out the consequences. I mean, then you deduct City points. Arsenal are the champions.
Yeah.
Then it makes all of the European competition that we're now playing, the prelim rounds, invalid, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because if City got deducted a massive amount of points, they might not even be in the Champions League or anything. They might.
I mean, like Liverpool would have a couple more Premier Leagues.
Yeah.
Spurs would probably even have one. You know what I mean?
Well, and but for refereeing decisions, as Leeds fans sing about, we'd have been European champions in the 70s. So,
yeah. Chelsea have had a few Champions Leagues. Arsenal might have played another couple of finals.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
If ifs and ands were pots and pans,
he
there you
just
go.
loves bringing it up that we haven't won the Champions League. Talking of Leeds, let's stick with them. How they're getting on? They got smashed at the weekend.
Yeah, I was watching it on a coach, and I was going up to town, and I'm lucky not to do some damage to the coach. So we defended shambolically, and of course it's one of those things why we love the Championship, because it's one of the best leagues, isn't it? The statistics didn't back this up at all. They've got the worst defence, Southampton. They conceded 8 goals in the last 3 matches, and then they go and bang one in 2 minutes. And Leeds are on form. They've come off a great result. We just weren't at it. Just one of those games where there was no urgency. I give Southampton the credit. They got the tactics quite correct, because what Leeds do is now they try and play fast counter-attack football, catch teams on the break. We've got, good front three there. You've got some... you've got Somerville in there with Dan James. There's a lot of pace on either wing.
Is that Dan James? Did he play for United?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And then you've got Pirro now, who looks to be a decent target man, but just wasn't happening Saturday for Leeds. And tomorrow night it's Queen's Park Rangers at home to try and right that wrong. And I say the Championship, you can't tell. No. You really can't. I mean, it's the teams that haven't had their injuries yet as well. Leicester are flying, but they get 3 injuries. What happens? You need the squad in the Championship.
Yeah. And like, speaking of bad teams getting good results, Chelsea won last night. You happy about that?
Yeah. It's a step in the right direction. I mean, we got a 1-0 win against Brighton in the Carabao Cup. I was surprised. I thought we was going to lose that. Then we go into Fulham and we score 2 goals within something like 40 seconds. We played okay,
You was handed 2 goals, really.
We was very lucky for the second. The first goal I thought was great for Mudryk. To find that space to get that run in behind there.
Yeah, it's a weird run. Did you watch it after that? They described it like normally a player like him would run down the wing to open it up, but he didn't. He ran behind the defender, which you don't see often.
We should have had Steve Harrop on, because it would have been a nice little conversation, wouldn't it?
And, because that Lampard was in the studio for it, he was analysing it, which was great because he was manager last year. like you said, it's very true in saying that's what the modern winger does. If you look at City, their wingers are very wide when they do play wingers. When, back in the old days, when they had like Sterling, Sane, they had these wingers, even Bernardo Silva, they do tend to stay wide, but then they get them runs on the inside.
We've got it with Saka and Martinelli.
Exactly, yeah. You've got it. That's what we're trying to get with Mudryk. It's what modern wingers do. But yeah, great.
It's hard at Craven Cottage, though, isn't it? Because it's a narrow pitch.
Yeah.
It's a tight space to work down there.
I just hope we can build on it. I think we've got Burnley next up, and then we go into the internationals. So yeah, hopefully we can get a win at Burnley, and then we go into internationals. What better place to go into the Arsenal game? 3 wins on the bounce.
Don't get too excited, mate. You're not at that level yet. Arsenal won 4-0 against Bournemouth. It's a game you expect to win, but we look very comfortable. And what do you think about Arteta's treatment on Ramsdale as outsiders? Because I've got my opinion on it. He's just completely dropped Ramsdale, hasn't he, and put Raya in goal.
We talked about this last time I was on about the goalkeeping situation there, and you do wonder whether it was his plan to make Raya the number 1. We just didn't say anything about it.
Well, let me just.
But Ramsdale's had these issues that we spoke about before.
Yeah. Well, it was
mentally whether he was right and all of that.
Yeah. Well, it was pointed out to me when I went up to Arsenal Tottenham. A friend of mine pointed out that exactly the same time last year. So we had Leno in goal beginning of the season last year. The first international break came. As soon as we come back, we put Ramsdale in goal. That was it. Leno was gone. Mm-hmm. And he's done exactly the same. His first international break, he's dropped Ramsdale, put Raya in goal, and he's only played 1 game, Ramsdale, and that was in the Carling Cup against Brentford.
But what confuses me about the whole situation, if you look at Arsenal as a squad, if I was Arteta, I'm looking at the goalkeeper position. That's not the first position I would try and fix in that team. I'd probably look at the left-back situation before I try and replace the goalkeeper. I don't see Ramsdale as a problem.
I just think
you did though, didn't you?
Yeah.
On the last podcast I came on, you were not convinced by Ramsdale.
I'm not convinced. I haven't been since we've got him, and I don't think a lot of fans are. A lot of fans were sad to see Leno go, and look at him. He's got the most clean. Well,
he's doing great.
I think he's got the most. He did have the most clean sheets going into the game last night.
But you attribute Ramsdale's problems, as far as I can understand, to the issues he's had.
Yeah, I think
behind the scenes, off the field.
Well, that's what I read, and maybe so. But he just seems. He can make some outrageous saves, but he's so... What's the word? It's almost like he gets too excited. He loves playing up to the fans. Everyone knows that, but it's almost like sometimes the... what's the word? When it gets to you, the...
Pressure.
No, like when you're in
moment,
that situation. The moment. Yeah. It's almost like the moment gets to him, like in big games, things like that.
So like he has that freeze sort of thing. And
okay. I'll keep bringing it up. Against United, he was well far out of his goal. Don't know why. And then the United player picked it up. He starts running back, not even in a straight line, all over the place. And they score. It's a shocking goal. And he does that. He's got that in him. Where with Raya, the first game he started was against Everton away, which is we struggle with Everton away. We have done the last 2 years. I just felt so much safer knowing he was in goal. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans do. He's a quality goalkeeper.
But fully on it, Ramsdale, fully on it, Raya, would you?
Raya, all day.
Would you have said that a month ago?
What, before we got Raya?
Yeah. Have you even got him, though? He's on loan. There's no agreement for a permanent deal,
it might be obligation to buy.
Are you sure?
Or option to buy. It's one of the two. I don't know the answer to that.
All right, I'll make an easy one for you. What are you reckon about? One of my notes here was about the sharing penalties. Of course, that came up in the game.
I've mentioned that on mine.
All right, I'll be quiet and wait for you to bring it up.
No, I'm glad you brought it up.
You are the host, sir.
Because, the way they gave it to Havertz?
Yeah, just generally you think it's a good idea, because this is not the first time with Arsenal where...
What you've got to bear in mind is we also had a penalty before that we'd scored. Mm-hmm. So we went 1-0 up. Who scored our first goal? Saka, just a header.
Saka, yeah.
Then Odegaard scored a penalty, and then we got another penalty that he gave to Havertz. I don't think... Well, it didn't happen. There's a reason they didn't give Havertz the second penalty. Because it would only have made it 2-0. If he misses that, it's still 1-0. And everyone will be like, why did you let Havertz take that penalty at 1-0 up? Mm-hmm. Because we were 2-0 up, I think that's why they said, Havertz, you have it.
So we've had this with Man City, haven't we? And also, the penalty takers.
He's been getting a bit of slack, isn't he?
Who?
Online, Havertz.
Well, yeah, he's not been good enough.
What was it? 9 games, no goals, no assists?
Scored, does
it? That's the problem with him. Like, I know the price tag isn't his fault, but I watch him. Like a lot of Arsenal fans, we go out of our way actually to watch him, right? And I think, what was I saying?
Havertz.
have a.
You go out your way to watch him.
I go out my way to watch him just to see what he's doing. Like, so, because sometimes you might be able to watch him and go, "Oh, I can see what you're trying to do." I can't see what he's trying to do. I'm watching, going, "What are you doing on that pitch?" Like, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you can see what a player's trying to do, and he's just not quite doing it.
Yeah.
I look at him, and it's just not clear. I don't know what his instruction is. I don't know what his role is. He wins a lot of headers. He's tall. He covers a lot of ground, surprisingly, because he looks lazy, doesn't he? But he actually covers a lot of ground. But other than that, I want him to get there. Obviously, we all do, but I can't see it at the moment.
But that's the problem we had with him at Chelsea. Like, we never knew where he played. He started off in midfield under Lampard first spell. Then he went up, slightly advanced, just behind the striker. Then he was the striker.
Yeah.
Then he was a false nine. We never really found where he fitted in, really.
Yeah.
And like you say, he used to win some headers, probably not enough for his height. He wasn't overly strong. He wasn't really a target man. Like, he's not a goal scorer. Exactly. He doesn't really have the eye for that that cute little ball. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So you kind of think, well, what is he doing?
I know. What about Wolves beating City 2-1?
Well, that certainly made a mess of a lot of people's accumulator coupons, mine included. Don't want to encourage betting unnecessarily, but that would have certainly been the one for most people, I would have thought. I've made some notes on the game. Alvarez, obviously, cracking free kick.
Yeah,
you don't
you're not
stop
taking
that.
No.
And obviously a cracking run by Neto, to set the first goal up. The second one was a bit strange, but the first goal, he showed great pace down the wing, and City just haven't really been on it over the last couple of weeks, have they?
They're missing important players. De Bruyne's out, Rodri's out, Stones is out.
But as with always with Man City, you feel that it's just a matter of time before it all just clicks in and bang, they go again. So
and we're playing them on Sunday.
You've got to make the most of this now, Arsenal. You've got to. It's the best time to play City.
I mean, like, if you look at the players they're bringing in to replace them injuries, then players they're bringing in would walk into any other Premier League side starting 11. Like Calvin Phillips, if he come in for Roger, I don't know if he did, but he would get into pretty much any Premier League side.
I disagree with that.
John Stones, he's out. He was playing fullback, wasn't he? Or was he playing in the middle?
Stones playing? Oh, he's back then because he was out.
No, but I mean he's out. But who came in to replace him? It's going to be someone like Ruben Diaz or someone like that. Like they'll get into any Premier League team. It's not really an excuse for City when they've got a squad like they have, is it?
But you expect City to sort of bang two in added time, don't you? And things like that. And there was just none of that from, I must admit I didn't see the whole game. I watched the highlights of the game, and you didn't see any sort of massive late City surge. You saw Wolves giving it a good go, and I don't think, there's anything very special about it. There's a couple of decent efforts from Wolves and deserve their victory. But you'd have said that about any other team, but Man City, you'd say, well, this is City, and as long as it was, 2-0 at one point, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it 2-1?
No, 1-1. 1-0, 1-0.
1-0. You felt that City were going to come back at some point. You just thought, it's happened so many times, but it isn't happening for them at the moment. They've been dumped out the Carabao Cup, isn't it, that they've just gone out of? It's
actually nice to see. It's good for football.
Well, it is, and I only wish that perhaps the Premier League would they'd do that in the Premier League more often, so you can.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll liken it to the Formula One Verstappen syndrome. You switch on a Sunday and it's always him that wins.
What do you think's a more shocking result? Wolves beating City by 1 goal, or Villa beating Brighton 6-1?
I thought he was going to say Chelsea.
Well, the Villa. I mean,
they're both shock results.
They were soft goals, right? To concede, and I wrote down here a Gary Neville phrase: Brighton defended like a bunch of drunks coming out the pub. Right, you want to watch those goals back again, and you see the positioning of Brighton's defending. They just lost all manner of structure for that game.
They did, really did,
and they had 61% possession in the game.
61%
possession.
6-1, 61.
They did. They had 61% possession, Brighton, and they were just really rubbish defending.
Yeah.
And Villa didn't have to be that good to beat them.
No.
To be fair,
but
again, I think it's a blip. I don't. I think Brighton are better.
I would say that the most surprising out of them 2 results has got to be the Brighton one, because I know Brighton haven't been great recently, but you expect them to overturn it at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, City losing 2-1, that can happen. Do you know what I mean? Teams can have a bad 2 games. Brighton losing 6-1 with how good they've been, And that's not the last bad result they had. They lost to Chelsea.
And Newcastle
that was
as well, wasn't it?
I weren't expecting that. Newcastle.
Yeah.
Who, Brighton?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
lost 3-1 at home to West Ham when I was in Brighton.
Yeah. So something's going on at Brighton. I mean, but that's what surprised
I
me.
don't
most.
think it's serious. I don't think it's going to, unless I don't see that they've been found out. Because I watched all the goals and I just thought I can see why that's gone in. Because
Couple
Estepinian,
of
normally very
mistakes,
very
isn't it?
solid, scores an
Yeah.
own goal.
Yeah.
I think
It's
deserve
a bad
I'll
day
have
at
a
the
word,
office,
and
isn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
Very
I
bad
mean,
day.
that, as I say, I think it was that fourth or something. It was there was bodies flying all over the penalty area. People on the deck, and you just think
Literally.
there's no structure.
No.
There's no structure.
Everton lost to Luton.
Luton, real hard work. I've got to say, endeavour. You mean with Everton, you can see it coming. They're not very good. I don't think they've improved, but they're certainly not brilliant, and I worry for them. But Luton were good and good opportunities, good goals.
Yeah.
Really, I thought credit to them, and I think that will do wonders for their confidence. I don't know. They've got a home match to Burnley, I think, tonight, I believe.
Have they?
I think they're in a competition. I think there's a
Right.
match tonight. I think Luton,
There is, yeah.
Luton are back in
Luton,
action.
Burnley,
I had
8 o'clock,
Luton down
Premier
to have
League.
0
Oh,
points.
it's Premier League, is it?
Yeah.
I had Luton to finish the league with
Did
0
you really?
points.
Where are they?
I think they're. I'll tell you where they're in the league. I think their stadium is going to be a leveller for them. Luton. Let's see. Luton are 17th.
Wow.
Yeah. And they've -7
Where Everton?
at 12 points, and Everton are 16th, equal points.
'Cause
But
Everton
they're a
got-
goal better off in the minus column.
They got new owners now, haven't they, Everton? 777.
Yeah, I mean, that's more about the Bramley Moor Dock development, isn't it? And getting that built, because I can't see. But in terms of Luton, I think, I think good luck to them. They remind me a little bit of Crazy Gang, Wimbledon, the 80s. I'm not saying their football's that bad, because they literally did hump it and run sort of thing. But Luton, I watched the extended highlights of that game, and they really did put the work in. They put their bodies on the line. They get bodies in the box. Old adage, you don't get in the box, you don't score. And then the bloke volleyed it into the roof of the net like it scored a conversion.
Yeah.
But, good on them. I mean, Everton, they've got work to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Palace beat United 1-0. Roy Hodgson.
5 wins in a row. At Old Trafford.
I've got
First
3
manager.
draws, 2 wins.
Sorry,
Oh,
I've
so
not. I
5
don't
wins,
mean
5
5
wins
visits.
unbeaten?
5 visits to Old Trafford unbeaten.
yeah.
I do
Yeah.
apologise.
3
Yeah, sorry.
draws, 3 wins, 2
I couldn't read my
draws.
writing. I put 5 visits. Yeah, yeah. No, I said 5 wins, 5 visits. Yeah.
You must like going.
I mean, when you look at the results 3 days before, they weren't in the game, Palace.
Did you see that penalty they should have had, though, United? Where the ball got
in the
crossed
Premier League or the Cup? Because
in
they
the Premier
played
League
each
at
other.
the weekend.
Oh, okay. No.
So the
I
ball
haven't
got crossed in. It's coming to Rashford in the box, and it hits Palace's defender's hand, and goes out for what would be a corner. For me, I'd be fuming if that wasn't given as a penalty. I think United should have got that, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
We're into that VAR subjective thing where we've seen certain arm movements given, and then the next week not.
No consistency.
No.
Newcastle beat Burnley 2-0. Newcastle looked good.
Newcastle, yeah. I mean, I've got Isak in form, 3-3 for him now. Burnley, again, they need work if they're going to stay up, don't they?
I can't see them staying up. They're not. I thought they'd do better than they are. They got the most ever points in the Championship, didn't they?
I might be hanging myself out to dry here, but I think Luton won't go down.
I'd probably say they'd stay around about where they are. 17th.
That's a shout.
Yeah.
I think Luton survived by the skin of their teeth.
Name 3
And
teams that you
I
think
think
will go
Bournemouth are going.
down. Right.
I'm really scared for
And
Bournemouth.
who's the other 2? 3 teams.
This early
worse
on in
than
the
Luton.
season,
3 teams
you're going
worse
to put
than
us on the wall. Chris
You're
said.
saying Luton will stay
I
up.
think Luton stay up, and for some of the reasons I've already said, I think their ground's a massive leveller. People won't like going there. I think their work rate, and they know they're not the best team. As I say, and there'll be people watching and listening to this cast going, "Get him off! You don't know what he's talking about." But that's why we're here, isn't it? To invoke opinion and controversy.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I would. Burnley, Everton,
So I thought
Bournemouth.
Everton would be going down for a couple of years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't. They just seem to
Do
hang
you think
in there.
Everton
don't
are
they?
too big to go down? Or
There
they're
isn't
big
such thing.
No, Leeds go down, don't they?
Well, I'm not saying that, but
No,
I'm
but
saying
Leeds are big,
there's
aren't
no.
they?
Yeah, well, they are, but I mean, all you need is to have, some bad luck and injuries, and
I mean, West Ham, didn't they go down? Not recently, but
They've always sort of come up,
Yeah.
gone down, come up, gone down, haven't they? But they've stayed up for a while now, haven't they?
West Ham will be all right.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
no,
No,
I
not
had
this
them
season,
going
but
down
you
before the
get-
season kicked off.
you get a team of that stature, they can go down, can't they? Everton,
Yeah.
I thought it would be for the last couple of years, that'd be their year, but they're still hanging in.
I think the only game we haven't covered is Forest Brentford. Or is there another game?
Forest Brentford was a game on the early game, wasn't it, on the
Yeah.
Sunday?
Yeah. 1-1.
Yeah, and a red card, of course, for Nottingham Forest. They played it out with 10 men.
Yeah.
Very even game. I expected Brentford to take that by the horns
So did I.
and go for that. Their front men, Wissa and Buemo, didn't really do a lot for me in that
No,
game.
I didn't.
And Forest were just Forest. They were plucky. They were there. Very even game, and I'll be honest with you, not much to report.
No,
on
I've
that game.
got no notes. Just 1-1. I've just put 1-1.
I mean, the other points. If we a couple of points, I mean, I've put worry for Bournemouth. I've gone over that. The Jota, the red card.
His first yellow was not a yellow.
No, but what I worry about that was if you notice that the one he did get the red for was a very quick foul after the yellow card.
Yeah.
And how many times in the Premier League have we seen someone on a booking
Get
get the second yellow card because he's on a booking?
Yeah.
And I think that's very unusual for the ref to brandish the second yellow so quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not defending the challenge. I'm saying
I think there's no way that second yellow. There's no way you can't book him for that.
no.
But the first yellow should never have been a
But
yellow.
how many games have you seen where someone on a yellow has done something, pulled a shirt back, or done something, and the referee's ticked him off and gone, right, son, no more, no more, and they haven't gone.
I think if he pulled his shirt back, the ref might have done that. He come off the ground. He leaned in. I think it's a booking.
Yeah, I mean,
all
you're
day.
comparing it to sort of Curtis Jones. I mean, that's a leg breaking
Red
challenge.
card.
I mean, that's
Well,
I
that's
think
a
you got
leg
a
breaker.
3-game suspension for that.
Yeah, rightly so.
But
It
then
was
I've seen,
dangerous.
with all due respect to Liverpool fans, I've seen them going on about, okay, you needed help with VAR and we had 2 sendings off. But the sendings off for me were fully justified.
No,
you know?
I don't. Not Jota's.
No?
'Cause the first yellow was never a yellow. He slid, completely missed the player. Who was it? Bissouma, I think. Bissouma kicked his own legs. He sort of, as he was running, tripped himself up and went down, and the ref thought it was Jota that made contact, but he actually tripped over his own legs.
Oh, okay.
And Jota got a yellow for it. So I think that probably wound Jota up. That's why he's lunged in with the second tackle.
Right.
Second yellow.
I hadn't seen it in that level of detail. So
yeah, no,
I'll
he
go
didn't
with you on
touch
that.
him for the first yellow. Did not touch him. We're just going to finish off talking about the man that's pleaded guilty to a public order offence for mocking Bradley Lowry, obviously to death. Bradley was obviously only 6 when he passed away.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but 2 men were laughing at the opposite.
Sheffield Wednesday fans.
Sheffield Wednesday fans.
Holding up
2 men were laughing whilst holding up a photo of Bradley Lowry. What goes on in people's heads? Like, me and Carl were talking about it before you turned up. Like,
Yeah.
I just can't work out what would make someone do that.
It's like a different breed of person, isn't it? In time.
Yes. I mean, they're going to a football game equipped with that photo.
Yeah.
They've not printed it off in the ground.
No.
They've not held it up on a mobile phone.
Yeah, that's what they did.
I thought they got an actual photo.
No,
of
it was
it,
a
didn't they?
picture on a mobile phone.
Oh, was it?
It was
All
a
right.
picture on a phone.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So it would
but
be something that they
doesn't-
could do on the cuff.
It's
but still.
premeditated, I would say.
You'd say? Yeah, it could be. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to defend him in any way. It's sick. But
yeah, you can't condone it, and we should in any way. And there's calls for them to be banned from all sporting events for
They have been, haven't
life.
they,
I don't
think.
know. I'm not got
And
the
all
latest.
local pubs.
Really?
Yeah.
and of course
Things
they're-
like that.
Yeah,
good.
There was calls for them to be sacked from their jobs and things as well. I mean,
He's
people
been
messing around.
sacked. The one
Oh, really?
holding up the
Yeah.
phone, he's been sacked.
Yeah.
It's quite strange, really, because the night before, I heard about that on the news. I didn't see it on the day. But that night, I was watching, I can't remember, it was some weird film on Netflix about someone being hunted down on the internet. Basically, his profile getting shared around on the internet online, people going to his house looking for him.
Right.
And the next day, I see that their Facebook's going around on Twitter, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, what's going on there? But yeah, no, they deserve it.
Absolutely, because when we look at charts, no matter how near the mark they are and songs sung, they're always generally in good nature, and they stop after the match and you go home and, fine. But that's someone's child, that's a human being.
He's
6 years old.
It's not even. It's not even like you can't even put it down to a bunch of kids. They're like our age. Do you know what I mean?
They were older than that. They're like in their 40s, the men that done it, mate.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they were in like their late 20s, early 30s.
Let me have a look.
You question,
but even so,
it doesn't matter really.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But you question whether they're going to the game for the love of sport and football, or whether they're going to the game to cause trouble, because you can't. Normal people aren't wired in like that.
They're about our age, I'd say. You're right.
Yeah.
I'd go with your age rather than our age, because I don't know how
mine
old
and
they
Khan's
are.
age.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not get carried away, here, boys.
Sheffield Wednesday supporters have since raised £16,000 for the Bradley Lowry Foundation.
Well, good on them. But I mean, and I take it they're not named, these people.
I think they have been on social media.
Oh yeah, I mean,
That's
you don't want to
how I
give
saw
them
their
any more
profile
publicity than they want.
pushed around and that.
But I mean, so they've held that up. Yeah, I mean, just questions whether, like I said, normal people are not wired in like that. We don't all go out to a football match. We might go out armed with a few chants, but you don't.
Nothing like that.
No. And I hope they're made an example of to discourage any mindless idiot that might think of doing anything like it.
Oh, they will be, won't they? By law and by people they come across.
But with this, like for me, even like when you hear of people going to prison, things like that, kids is a no-go. Like, even the hardest...
Well, a couple of Leeds fans went to prison for punching Chris Kirkland, didn't they? I mean, that was at Hillsborough. Right. They jumped, one of the Leeds fans jumped on the field and punched him in the middle of a game. And, I mean, that's just two blokes assaulting each other. But then quite rightly jailed, quite rightly banned. But like you say, it's made all the more worse because there's a child involved. And not just any child, a terminally sick child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone who Jermaine Defoe went out of his way, and many other professionals went out of his way to make feel special, to make his last days on the planet. Yeah. I mean, you feel for the parents as well. What must they think
two little
when they
scumbags? Do you know what I mean? Getting that attention and bringing it all.
No, we don't want to see that.
Negative light,
We want them to be made an example of as they are. I think.
Okay, thanks for coming back on, Chris.
Yeah, no problem at all.
See you again soon.
Yeah,
you are a fan favourite, I will say.
I don't know how, but thanks to all those people who vote for me to come back on.
There's no vote.
There's no vote. Okay, I'm a legend in my own brain. No, it's great to be on. Thank